I've been restoring my land here for Irish nature, and a few months ago I put cameras out along the river to try and capture footage of otter. But to my amazement, completely unexpectedly, they captured footage of another mammal, a mammal that has come back from near complete extinction here in Ireland, the Pine Marten. And in this video, I want to tell you all about their amazing comeback story, but also how along their journey they've saved another mammal from near extinction as well.
The main thing that I want to do for this video is try and film Pine Marten on the land, but that is not going to be easy because they are notoriously shy, elusive, and primarily nocturnal. So my best approach is to use trail cameras and leave them in different places around the land. That's how I accidentally got footage of Pine Marten before. This footage, while trying to capture footage of otter, I accidentally captured Pine Marten. I captured it on beaches like this that run in a few spots along the river, so that's the place that I thought best to start. But because there are no trees, I had to go about putting up posts to hold the cameras, and I put them everywhere. I set about putting cameras up all over the river. These are Nature Spy trail cameras. Nature Spy are a fantastic not-for-profit company based in the UK, and all their profits go to conservation efforts around the world. You can find out more information about them in the links below. I put some of the cameras up higher to get wider shots, and I put some down lower to hopefully get close-up shots of Pine Marten faces, reactions and activities. I did put some in trees, and some I put on unusual spots like this one, which is facing straight down towards a branch over a river, to see if that's how they cross the river. Once the cameras were up, there was nothing for it but to wait. I decided to give 2 weeks between each camera check and move. And throughout this video, I will show you the 3 moves that I made and the footage that I captured with each one. It got progressively better, and there's some fantastic footage towards the end. Let's learn about Pine Martens while we wait. First of all, as I said, they're primarily nocturnal, but they are sometimes seen during the day. They're mostly arboreal and fantastic climbers because they have semi-retractable claws and ankles that rotate 180 degrees, allowing them to climb headfirst down trees. They're omnivorous, feeding on birds, eggs, frogs, berries, carrion and small mammals including squirrels, and they make their dens in natural tree cavities. It's a member of a group of mammals called the mustelids. In Ireland, the largest mustelid is the badger. There's also the otter, its aquatic cousin. The smallest mustelid in Ireland is the Irish stoat or ermine, and there's also an invasive American mink, causing lots of issues and often getting confused for Pine Marten.
But how and why did we nearly lose the Pine Marten to extinction here in Ireland? Well, while doing research for this video, I read this book, The Living and the Dead by Conor O'Brien. The first half of it talks about animals that we have unfortunately lost to extinction, and the second half talks about animals that are coming back from the brink, including the Pine Marten. So I reached out to Conor to see if he'd come and tell me a little bit more about why we nearly lost the Pine Marten, and also see if he could give me some advice as to where to put my trail cameras to hopefully get footage of them here on my land. Before we talk to Conor, let's have a quick look at the cameras because it's been about a week already and I'm honestly just too excited and curious to see if we've got anything. So let's have a look.
Okay, oh, there's a rat. Closely followed by a mouse. Interesting. There's a Pine Marten. Amazing. We've got one. Fantastic. It looks like it's foraging along the beach areas. Maybe that's why I accidentally got it that time. That looked like a bit of scent marking. No way, that is climbing up my other camera pole. That's the one that you saw me with my post driver hammering into the ground. It's climbing up, obviously didn't find anything, and climbing straight back down again. That's how agile they are. There it is again. There's a little scent mark again. A little bit of a wiggle there. That's something that they're actually known for, is their scent marking wiggle. Whoa, attacking the camera there. Not a big fan of the camera. Okay. And again, okay, point taken. Not a big fan of the camera. Might be slightly disturbed by the light, maybe. Foraging along the riverbank. Really interesting. This is really cool to see. So along there is just primarily brambles. So I'm really happy with this start. This is a really good result for the first section. We should probably go and talk to Connor now and learn about why the Pine Marten nearly went extinct.
We very nearly lost the Pine Marten altogether in Ireland. It nearly went extinct. From what I understand, there were kind of multiple prongs to that in terms of why it happened. But from what I understand, its fur was one of the primary reasons. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, absolutely. So, I mean, it's hard to think of it now when you look at Ireland now, how our economy is structured. But once upon a time, one of our main exports would have been fur. So, because Ireland was once such a forested country, obviously that provides home for a lot of animals, and those animals could provide fur, which was a very cherished commodity at that time. In the Middle Ages, you would have seen Irish fur traders going to the great continental markets, loaded up with piles and piles of lavish, really expensive furs that would have been attracted a huge price. And the Pine Marten, with its luxurious brown kind of chocolate coat, would have been one of the most prized of all, much more so than a lot of our other native animals. And this had a devastating effect. In fact, between the years, a study was conducted that between the years 1697 and the early 1800s, tens of thousands of furs would have been exported from Ireland. So tens of thousands of otter, fox and deer, but no Pine Martens were found. And it's reckoned that one of the reasons for that is because the Pine Marten was probably quite rare at that point. So any Pine Martens that would have been caught, the fur would have been kept locally rather than being exported to the continent. So yeah, during the Middle Ages, they definitely would have been trapped for their fur. During the same time period, you would have seen a lot of forest clearance throughout Ireland. So between about 1600 and 1800, the percentage of forest in Ireland really fell off a cliff. The population was growing, a lot more land was being cleared for farming, of course, and a lot more wood was needed to provide firewood and things like that, and building materials for a growing population. So with that went a lot of the Pine Marten's habitat as well. As we moved into the 1800s, you would have seen the growth of the great kind of game hunting estates. So like estates that would have been kept for grouse and things like that for the country gentry, basically the aristocracy. And with that, the Pine Marten really went from being a commodity to being a pest. So the Pine Marten, as with all
because it was predating the game birds.
Because it could have been predating the game birds. So the Pine Marten, as with birds of prey, for example, would have been hunted much more extensively. You would have had much more sophisticated firearms at that point in history. And then with the introduction of, as we moved into the 20th century, you would have seen the introduction of poisons of the likes of strychnine, which would have taken a deadly effect. So like a lot of poison bait would have been left out. Often not for the Pine Marten specifically, could have been left out for foxes, but of course Pine Martens, being opportunistic, will not turn. Yes, they will not turn their nose up at a free meal.
It's mind-boggling to hear that Ireland, one of our biggest exports was fur, when it's so difficult to even see a mammal today.
Absolutely, or a fur
let alone
on people.
The niche ones like otter and Pine Marten. To know that those are exported in numbers of tens and thousands is absolutely mind-boggling.
It is.
And in those days, deer would have been just red deer. And those numbers are tiny as well. So that whole concept is mind-boggling at this point. But it goes to show what Irish biodiversity was like and should be like. So what has allowed the Pine Marten to start to return in Ireland? Well, the demise of some of the things that Connor mentioned, the things that nearly made it extinct in the first place, like poisoning and the fur trade, have allowed its numbers to start to return. However, we still have a huge issue with our forests. In Europe, average tree cover is about 35% of the land. But in Ireland, that number is actually only 11%. But it's even worse than that sounds, because less than 2% of our tree cover is native. The rest of it is this stuff: Sitka spruce plantations, commercial forestry. They are biodiversity dead zones, but they may have helped the Pine Marten return. Some of the last strongholds for the Pine Marten were the Burren and the Slieve Bloom Mountains, but they were isolated, unable to traverse the country because of deforestation. So with the introduction of commercial forestry like this, although they are biodiversity dead zones, it may have allowed the Pine Marten to use them not necessarily as a habitat, but as a means of travelling the country once more. Because as I mentioned, with only 11% tree cover and less than 2% native tree cover, plantations like this unfortunately make up most of the trees in Ireland. Seeing the pine marten return in Ireland from near extinction is proof that nature can recover given the chance. The problem is, most of us can't personally restore habitats or bring species back ourselves, but that doesn't mean that we're not collectively powerless. That's why I've joined Planet Wild. Think of it as crowdfunding for nature. It's a community of over 20,000 members who fund new, high-impact nature restoration missions every single month all over the world. And the best part, they document all their work through videos on YouTube so we can see our impact with our own eyes within 30 days. What I love about them is they don't just show you the problems, they focus on solutions. One month it's bringing back endangered species, and another month it's restoring entire forests. For example, they did a mission rewilding power lines to turn the spaces underneath them into homes for toads, insects, plants and weasels. You're a part of something bigger here. You get monthly reports and a badge for every mission you support, and it's a great way to do your part for nature restoration from the comfort of home, knowing 100% that you're making a real difference. The first 100 people to sign up using my link or the code REWILD3 will have their first month paid for by me. There's no catch, you can cancel anytime, and you can give whatever amount feels right to you. Just hit pause, scan this QR code, or hit the link in the description below if you'd like to join. And if you want to see them in action, check out their mission, Rewilding Under Power Lines. While Conor O'Brien was here, he kindly recommended a few locations that he thought would be good to put trail cameras to get footage of pine marten. So let's go and check those cameras now.
Okay, so we're still on the river here. Hey, there's a heron. Oh man, he looks so cool. Wow, beautiful bird. I actually see this heron on a regular basis. I'd say every second day. And I'm 90% sure it's one heron. Pine marten. Whoa, fleeting glimpse, but a pine marten. That's a great result. No way, an otter. Incredible. So that's another mustelid, the pine marten's very close relative. And that is fantastic to see. And there's a pine marten, which is great because you get to get a sense of how similar in size they are and that they share a habitat. And there's a fox. We're getting a great diverse range of wildlife here. Some cobwebs in front of it though. And there's a pine marten again. And on the grass cam, pine marten up close. This is fantastic. So there's crab apples there, and I imagine that's what it's foraging for. There's some scent marking again. And a little bit again. And a badger in for the apples. Oh, that's fantastic to see. That's incredible footage. That's fantastic. Possibly digging around for worms and invertebrates in the earth as well. The badgers have great big powerful claws. Going out of camera shot there. Oh my gosh. What's with the animals having a go at my camera?
Now, before we go and check the cameras one more time, I've got an amazing story to tell you about how the worst wedding present ever nearly wiped out another Irish mammal and how the pine marten came to the rescue. Way back in 1911, Irish woodlands were on their knees, and so pine marten populations and our native red squirrel populations were on their knees as well. And in that same year in County Longford, a wedding present was given of 12 American grey squirrels. And they were released that day, and those 12 multiplied and spread all over the country. And the issue with that was that they are almost twice the size of red squirrels and outcompete them for food. But the main issue is that they brought with them squirrel pox, which they have a natural defense for, but our native red squirrels don't. And so red squirrel populations started to plummet. Flash forward to today, and red squirrels are very scarce. Personally, I've only seen them, despite looking for them, about 6 times. Most Irish people have never seen a red squirrel, but they're very used to seeing American grey squirrels, which are also more comfortable around humans and tend to forage for food on the ground, whereas our native red squirrel is very elusive and shy and tends to stay in the trees. But along comes the pine marten to the rescue. There has been a noticeable decrease in American grey squirrel populations alongside the increase in pine marten populations. And that's because the pine marten and the native red squirrel have a natural predator-prey relationship. If a red squirrel sees a pine marten, it knows to take evasive action. Whereas the American grey squirrel has no idea what it is, despite living here for a long time. It hasn't seen them because their numbers are only starting to increase now. And so the reaction time is more delayed, allowing pine martens to predate them more easily. So with this amazing twist of fate, it's meant that with the return of the pine marten, we've also got a return of the red squirrel.
Okay, time for a final check of the cameras. Wow, the speed that they can run at, that's incredible. That looked like it was actually running away from something possibly. Something gave it a fright. Oh, there's the camera getting attacked again. Pretty sure that was Pine Marten. Yeah, there it is. Ah, that's fantastic to see it. That is a camera that I put in a tree. There's a mouse hiding out in a little hole. That's so sweet. That's really cool to see. And here's our Pine Marten in the trees looking for small mammals. And there's the hole that the mouse was in. So that's really interesting. I wonder, I want to go and check that hole now and see if it's occupied by something, because it's definitely of interest to our Pine Marten. He's having another go at my camera. Where is it? It's on the camera. Look how much the camera's shaking. It must be on the camera. There it is. It's on the top left there now. Luckily these cameras are super well made because they do get a bit of abuse. Going back to that hole that the mouse was in again. Very interesting. Wow. Reaching from one trunk of a tree to another one. Incredible grip strength. Look at that. There's no jumping from tree to tree. They're so agile. That's where their retractable claws come in handy. And look at the way it's facing straight downwards. That's where it being able to rotate its wrists means that it can move straight headfirst down a tree trunk like this and pause easily to investigate things. And there it is, crossing the river on that branch. And scent marking there just at the end, I think, as well. There's our heron again. Our only daytime footage really so far has been the heron, and there's the heron at nighttime as well. That's great to see. And there's our Pine Marten, sniffing around the same area. Pine Marten having a go at the camera once more. Wow, jumping up the camera there and investigating around this area. This is on the, oh, it's got something there. I think, I can't recall what tree is above there. This is kind of on the bank of the side of tree roots, so it might be dropping some berries and things around there that it's foraging for. Definitely something of interest there for it. This is amazing. This is fantastic results. I'm delighted with all this Pine Marten footage. I didn't expect to get this much.
A huge thanks again to Planet Wild for their support on my project. The restoration work that they do for nature around the world is truly inspiring.
And thank you also to Nature Spy. Their amazing cameras helped me capture all this fantastic footage. And thank you for watching. See you on the next Rewildlife.